He's just had a meeting on this. Where have you got to?
Well, I can't talk about what happens in party room meetings, but I think where we're at is that we see that it's very important for the future of Australia that we sign up to some sort of net zero by 2050 arrangement, because the opportunities, both economically for us in national security terms, for our farmers, for our coal miners, for our resources sector, are so huge, and we don't want to miss those.
So could you give us an indication of how many people in your party are concerned, first of all, just about net zero?
I think everyone in the Liberal Party is concerned about what the costs are of net zero and what problems and if there are any people who will be losers from us signing up to net zero.
But in terms of what's been presented so far, the technology roadmap and so on, how many would you say are agitating against it?
I think at the moment there are a lot of people who are asking some sensible questions on behalf of their constituents. I wouldn't be in a position to say whether there are, how many people are necessarily opposed to it or in favour of it. I think
the discussion, though, was it broadly supportive of, we want these addresses concerned, but we support the move? Is that?
Yeah, I think broadly there is support for the Prime Minister's program to get us to net zero, or a national commitment to net zero by 2050, because of the opportunities that they provide for Australians in the regions in particular.
What about 2030? Do we need an increased ambition then? A lot's changed since 2019, particularly with some big countries moving on this and alliance countries as well, which the PM apparently has pointed out today.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, I'm on the record as saying that I think we should update our 2030 target. I think that what is probably more likely is that we'll get an update to our projections. We know that we're running ahead of our projections, and hopefully we'll see that we're in a really good position in terms of having something to announce.
So would you be comfortable with that position, if the PM goes to Glasgow and says, not committing to whatever the figure is in 2030, but we think we'll get to 38, so rest assured we're on track to get that, we just can't commit to it?
Well, look, where I am at is that for my daughter's future, I want to make sure that we get to net zero by 2050. That's what I'm focused on, and that we do that in a way that maximises and optimises the opportunity for all Australians. So that's what I'm focused on.
But I mean, 2030 is important because we can't get there all in a rush in 2050. That target.
Well, the argument that Bill Gates and others put, which I think I probably am in favour of, is that you can either expend a lot of resources on abatement, or you can direct your scarce resources in terms of developing the technology that you need to get to net zero by 2050. Now, it's not one or the other. We know that.
Yeah, but also the IPCC projections are not just net zero 2050. They give us a carbon budget.
Yes.
If you do it all in the last 5 years, that's not the same as getting there and staying within the budget.
Well, no one's suggesting that. Right. I mean, we've already reduced our carbon emissions by 20% from 2005. As you know, there are a lot of countries that are very good at lecturing us about net zero by 2050 and updating our 2030 targets, who have seen their carbon emissions go up since 2005.
So here's where things seem a little grey to me. What's the process from here? The Nationals, clearly it's going to be a line ball sort of a decision on whether they even get to agreeing on net zero. Do they have a veto power, in your view?
No one has a veto power in the coalition. We all get a view. We all get to represent the views of our constituents, and we get to put arguments, and the most powerful argument wins. At the end
by what? Is it numbers?
Through persuasion.
Yes, but when you say they win, through what method? Do you see it as overall numbers in the joint party room? Is it a vote along those lines?
Well, I think what it will be is a lot of discussion. A view of the room will emerge, and the Prime Minister will take that to Cabinet, which ultimately has to make a decision about the plan and how and if we can get to net zero by 2050.
Right. So he should take...
However, let me say that following today's meeting of Liberal MPs, I'm more confident that that will be the outcome than I was at the beginning.
More confident. Okay.
Yes.
So he should take a view of the joint coalition and Liberal Party rooms in a meeting.
Yep.
Everyone can have their say.
Absolutely.
Is there a vote at the end of that?
Traditionally, we don't vote on these things.
If it seems line ball, would he need a vote perhaps? Because otherwise he's, yay and nay, hard to get the
I think
some voices are louder than others.
Indeed they are. Some have accused me of having a loud voice. But the truth is that the Prime Minister has earned the trust of the party room, and ultimately this is a decision and a judgment call that he will have to make.
And then he takes that to Cabinet?
Yes.
Cabinet approves of whatever that plan is and he takes that to Glasgow.
Absolutely.
So if the Nationals say we don't agree with a commitment to net zero by 2050, but the Prime Minister sees the joint party room as doing so, he should move on with that.
That will be a judgment call for him, but in my view, yes, that's what he should do.
Could it split the coalition, do you think?
No, I do not believe so.
Why not?
Because the coalition has been through the example I will give is guns, where, after the massacre at Port Arthur, John Howard took what was a very difficult situation, very difficult policy matter to the people and through the parliament. It put a lot of strain on the National Party and a lot of strain on the coalition, and it didn't split the coalition. This is equally, there are a lot of people concerned about this in National and Liberal Party regional seats as well. This is, as Holly Hughes pointed out, we represent more of regional Australia than the National Party does, and we are getting that feedback from a lot of people too. So we're very cognizant of the fact that this is not, something that is universally cheered across Australia.
Okay. You don't think things are more fractious now than they were then?
No.
Generally in politics and, dare I say it, media?
No, I don't think so. I think there are more avenues for people to discuss ideas, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Jason Falinski, thanks for your time today.
Tom, thank you.